Hello, 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 and welcome to the second ever episode of the Pseudo Ludo video game podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and I'm joined by my two best friends, Brian and Nick. And disclaimer, they're not actually my best friends.
That's a little hurtful, but hello.
I can prove that in court that that's not true. Hello.
All right, guys, so we actually have a pretty busy news week going on this week, but we're going to start up with a introduction, and we're just going to play a little game called What's on Brian's Desk, where we just guess what is on Brian's desk, and that kind of just gets the vocal cords moving a little bit, you know, like some jumping jacks for our throat, which sounds inherently sexual.
Whoa, I didn't think that. Jeez.
I didn't either.
This is a family
Nick
show.
said that.
Murph, meet the editing room floor. The first item is a plastic water bottle. The second item is a pair of Bombas socks. The third is a multivitamin, like a container of multivitamins, not just one. A little tub.
Okay.
I'm going to say the fake one is the water bottle. I know Brian has that brand of socks, and I think he's scared of the virus, so he's going to take vitamins. So I'm going to guess water bottle.
I also think he's afraid of the virus and he's taking vitamins. I think the socks are the fake out, so I'm going to guess the socks.
All right, your answer's locked in?
Locked in.
Both wrong.
Damn.
I'm gonna edit in some applause there. I'm the master of trickery. The real trickery here was to try and get you to think that since I have a Life Straw water bottle, why would I be drinking out of a plastic one? That's because that's being washed right now. I do have vitamins unrelated to the coronavirus, but, stay woke out there. And the socks are on my feet. So
wait, I guess the socks weren't on your desk.
Oh, well, you're right.
Okay, guys, so we are going to get into the news, and after that, we're going to talk about what we've been playing this week, which is mainly Call of Duty Warzone, the free-to-play Battle Royale. But first, let's hear what's on the news. It's a pretty busy week.
The first and quite possibly the biggest is that E3 has been canceled for this year. Due to concerns for the coronavirus and the recommendations by medical professionals to not have large gatherings, they went ahead and canceled it.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Obviously, everybody has been hearing about this virus, and it looks like it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So this makes sense. We should note that there were other problems going on with E3 before the virus came out. So I'm not saying that maybe this was an opportune time, but it seems like they were already going to have a lot of problems to deal with before this virus even came up. I Am 8-Bit, which was the creative director of the show, recently dropped out. Jeff Keighley recently dropped out, who had been hosting for years. So there's been a lot of problems, and E3 in general has been on the decline for the past few years. So it kind of makes sense. And the thing I'm most concerned about is how when all these publishers and game developers miss this year of E3, are they really going to be clamoring to go back next year? Are they really going to say this really is something we still need in 2020 and onward?
I think they're all going to do digital presentations, and they're going to see that works pretty effectively and continue to do that. Yeah,
I think they're going to see, hey, these cost, a tenth of the in-person trade booths and all that we've been doing. So, yeah, it might be the end of E3, which is definitely a possibility in my opinion.
I feel like it won't be the end of it.
I think maybe the end as we know it. All right, so next up on the news, Reggie Filsaime is now on the GameStop board of directors. From what I've seen of this, a lot of the board had recently stepped down or retired, so GameStop was just kind of refilling these chairs. From what I'm seeing here, it looks like every 5 to 10 years, it's common for the board of directors to kind of switch up and rotate out. So Reggie's stepped in. Obviously, Reggie is most well known for his role at Nintendo of America, and more recently, I think he's been doing things in the business sphere. I know he's taught business classes at schools and stuff like that. So this seems like something like a good step for Reggie. I think he's I think he is like retired, but I think he's just kind of doing these types of things and probably gets a nice paycheck, that kind of thing.
Yeah, other than a nice check, I really don't see the benefit for him doing this. GameStop is quickly going downhill, and I mean, I don't think anyone can save it. Or
I think he's probably not worried about it, money at all. So I would see it more as just like him wanting to have some, like, being on a board of directors isn't the same as like having a job. Like, it's more like a like kind of like a Senate or something, almost like it's like you don't go into work.
Why would you want to attach yourself to something that it's going into the ground? Well, that's a interesting thing to keep an eye on in the future. See if he is able to implement any changes there.
All right, Nick, let's hear the next piece of news.
The NFL has given a license to 2K to make more NFL video games that aren't supposed to be simulation-style games, so they're not going to be a direct competition to the Madden franchises from EA.
Okay, yeah, I did hear about this, actually. So it sounds like they're going to make more, maybe
arcadey style, like...
Yo, bring back NFL Blitz.
NFL Blitz, exact. I was trying to think what the iconic one was. Yeah, NFL Blitz, something like that. That'd be really cool. I think that's a good... I mean, it can only be good. These sports games have been dominated and pretty much monopolized.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that I'm the big sports game guy out of us three, and any competition for EA in this sphere is going to be beneficial to us as fans, because a lot of years sure. EA seems to have just coasted along, made minimal upgrades each year, and pooped out the same project every year.
Yeah, they basically make the best-selling games of every year by writing the new number on the box and adding in like one new feature.
Yeah, but this isn't going to be competing with it, right?
No, not directly.
Well, it's not a simulation-style game, so it's not a direct competitor, but having another NFL game out there is definitely going to draw Madden fans. I think anyone will be interested in that.
I also think it's a good sign in general to show that they're willing to do that. And maybe it's a kind of a sign to EA to say, hey, like, you have to earn this. I mean, I'm sure they're not upset at all with how well Madden sells every year, but to draw a comparison to like the Mario sports games, it'd be fun to just have like more party style games that are like I love playing Madden still, but it is really fun to play more cartoony, actiony games like Mario Baseball, stuff like that. So it'd be cool to see a more lighthearted take on the series.
Yeah, definitely. It would break up the monotony of the genre a lot.
Anyways, let's get into the next piece of news. Brian, I know you're going to love to read this one, so why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thank God. Something good. So, The Last of Us, one of the best games of all time, is getting a HBO series from the people behind Chernobyl, and also Neil Druckmann, the writer and director of both games, is going to be working on it as well. And that's extremely exciting news because Chernobyl was amazing, so it's really optimistic to see a video game property being developed by people who have made really, really quality storytelling in that medium, whereas a lot of these adaptations are very stale and like not developed by people who have even played the games. And the creator of Chernobyl has said that he's a fan of the games, so it's looking good. I'm very excited for this.
That's great. I'm excited for it too. This could, I think it would adapt well to HBO. I think HBO is probably the perfect place for it with that gritty violence and all of that. And I think it could be really good for The Last of Us and bring more people into. I mean, it's one of the most popular games already, but I think it's cool. It's a cool world. I'm a little tired of zombie stories in general, but you know,
these are clickers.
Yeah, right.
Difference to them. Who do you guys want to see play Joel and Ellie?
I say cast unknowns.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary to rely on
Troy Baker dubs over whoever.
What's the actor's name that plays Jaime Lannister?
Nikolaj Coster.
When he has a beard, he looks like Joel.
Yeah, he already has an HBO relationship. He's got to put on that southern accent, though.
You got anything else to say about the show, Bri?
I'm extremely excited for it. I hope it comes out as soon as possible. It'll be interesting to see how it navigates the next game coming out, and if this implies that there's more games or if they're going to just make up stuff, because it is going to be about Joel and Ellie. And if we're assuming that their story is over in the second season, then I feel like the show, or the second game, the show won't really be that long. But then if it's not, then like, is it going to be a Game of Thrones thing where it reaches beyond, like it'll come out before the third game comes out?
Could it be the interstitial stuff between the first and the second game with whatever relationship Joel and Ellie have during that time?
I feel like that would be very polarizing to people that didn't play the game.
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm also not sure if I like the idea of it returning to their story. I think I'd rather see new characters in the world instead of these characters that are directly explored in the game, because I don't know, I'm just wary of crossing canons across, you know what I'm saying? Like across different mediums, whatever it is.
It's weird if it's not done, but like if it's done, I'm all in, because I don't like have a problem with games being adapted into movies. Like people will say like, just play the game. Well, like nobody says that about comic books and books. Like I understand there's a difference, but there's still a lot to approach a video game in a movie or a TV show. And I'm sure they'll do a lot more world building and a lot more side character stuff because they have so much more time to do it, and they can't just only be fighting and like stuff the whole time because they don't have the budget for that. So I think it will be a lot more fleshed out, and like they'll probably view it under a different lens too. And Neil Druckmann being involved is definitely a really good sign that he trusts the vision of all these people and they're going to make something really cool.
Definitely. So, an unannounced Star Wars game has recently appeared to have leaked via a PlayStation Network leak or hack. So there's some people that I think have just like some kind of bots that are always like patrolling the PlayStation Network, basically. And the bot, I don't know the technology behind it, but apparently they caught something called Star Wars Project Maverick, which is currently in development. So what they caught was an image on the PlayStation Network. So it looks like the background is a lava planet like Mustafar, and there's also some X-Wings and a Star Destroyer superimposed over that. And then there's in your classic Star Wars font, it says Star Wars Project Maverick. So just by the title being Maverick and the fact that it's ships on the image, I'm really hoping this is like a dogfighting game, because I would absolutely love that. If there's one Star Wars game I really, really want right now, it's just a great dogfighting game with hopefully like a really cool, short story where you just go through, the Rogue Squadron or whatever, where you just go through and fight all the battles, and then with a cool online mode, obviously. Obviously, no other information's been released about it. Maybe we'll be hearing something soon now that it's leaked, but that's all we have so far. One more thing, it seems like it is probably going to be a smaller project just based on the context of EA's, studios. It's probably a smaller project. The article comes with a quote and says, according to a recent report from Kotaku, publisher Electronic Arts has 2 new Star Wars projects in development. One is a sequel to Respawn's Fallen Order game, and then the other is, quote, a smaller, more unusual project at EA Motive. So it's very likely, I think, that this is EA Motive's project. And Motive previously worked on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and was going to be working on a different Star Wars project that got the axe. So I could see this being like a smaller scale, maybe a $40, who knows, maybe it's going to be a free-to-play game. I don't know, but I'm excited to hear more because ship combat, I just love me some dogfighting.
Didn't they also cancel a Criterion game? So I wonder if they're just like scrapping a bunch of games that were falling more in line with the vision that Battlefront 2 had compared to Jedi Fallen Order, and if they're going to shift a little bit to more single player or like less always online games.
Yeah, that would be good news for sure. So I guess we will only be able to wait and see more. In a PlayStation blog interview with Herman Holst, who is now the head of PlayStation's worldwide studios, formerly from Guerrilla, he mentioned that Horizon Zero Dawn would in fact be getting a PC port. This has been rumored for a few months now, but this is the first official confirmation from PlayStation. So he said, when asked about this, yes, I can confirm that Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to PC this summer. There will be more information coming from Guerrilla pretty soon. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I know there's some controversy. I think it's probably too much to call it that. from PlayStation fans about wanting exclusives to remain exclusive. Personally, I see where they're coming from. I also think it's fine with games that are a few years old, like Horizon, and soon to be one generation behind, and have probably already been. I'm sure they have statistics on how saturated the PlayStation economy is with this game, and how much more likely they're going to make off new sales compared to new sales on PC. So it seems like it's just the right move to kind of just extract the most profit they can from this game, which I think is just good in general, because we want Guerrilla to be doing well. We want these games to be as successful as possible. We want to see good games be rewarded with the fruits of their labor. So all in all, I think it's fine as long as you still maintain that brand loyalty, and obviously PlayStation is going to have their own incentive to do that. I'm not too worried. I don't think it's going to be a future where Uncharted 5 is going to release same day on PC or anything like that anytime soon.
Yeah, he did touch on that in the interview, that they don't plan on doing that for future exclusives at launch. So that was my concern. Not even concern, because it doesn't matter, but it's like there is some sort of like perverse nostalgia to liking exclusives that I have. So I was kind of sad when this started to come out. Not that, but obviously it doesn't matter. Like, I'm still gonna buy the games and whatever. But it was nice to know that there will still be some exclusivity moving forward. Right. And one thing that I think will be really funny to see is the mods that come on this.
That game already looked great on a base PS4. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see how it looks on computers that are built for beautiful looking games.
No, I'm saying what they turn the dinosaurs into. Turn them into just some sort of monstrosities.
Actual dinosaurs patched into the game.
That would be kind of fun.
No, they'll turn them into some sort of nonsense.
Fighting Shrek. What are you doing in my swamp? Anyways, what else was I going to say about this?
Nothing much.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll ever see exclusives fully go away, because I just don't see, like, I think now more than ever, like, with Xbox talking about their future as like a streaming service more than a console service, like, they're going to want that brand loyalty more than ever. They're going to want to develop their own identity more than ever. Since it's not, in the next few years, it's not only going to be about who makes the best console. It's going to be about who has the best service, Xbox, Game Pass, and all of that. It's all about services. It's all about what you can do for your market. So I think we're pretty safe in the exclusive department. And I think even PlayStation fans should be excited, because if anything, it's just going to bring more fans to PlayStation, because people are going to play this game, and I have no doubt that when this game launches, it's going to be launching alongside a announcement for Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or whatever it's going to be, because it's going to be coming out in the summer, and the summer, obviously E3 is canceled, but I think there's a very, very good chance it coincides in a pretty close time span with a announcement of a sequel. And I think it's a really good way to advertise PlayStation 5 to new fans on PC who may not have a PlayStation 5, or who don't have a PlayStation 4, if you want to win them over to PlayStation 5 in the fall. Yeah. That was a very unverbose way of putting it, so feel free to chop me up and reduce those ums.
No, I'm going to add more. Can you imagine I chop them all out and double them? That'd be good. That'd be quality content.
So, Nick, why don't you read this next piece of news?
No, I think you should, Tim.
Well, if you really insist. But anyways, the Nintendo PlayStation sold for $360,000 recently at an auction. The owner of the Nintendo PlayStation is the founder of Pets.com and Toys.com, Greg McElmore. And
the rapper?
Yes, the rapper. So this is just a guy who made a lot of money during the .com boom, and I think now he just brands himself as a video game collector. He bought it and said that he has the intention of opening a museum. So I think that's cool that whoever purchases it is someone who wants to let the public see his collection at some point. Not much else to say about this other than it's just, we should probably just explain what this is.
When does Horizon come to this?
The Nintendo PlayStation is a prototype console that back in the 90s, Nintendo hired Sony to make a attachment for the Super Nintendo that could read discs. And this prototype was called the PlayStation. And it's a very interesting, anyone who's listening should go look up what this looks like. It is a typical Super Nintendo controller that says Sony PlayStation on it. So it's very interesting. And it's never was released to the public, obviously. The deal fell through and Nintendo and Sony, their relationship soured, and this started this famous rivalry where Sony got, really kind of like offended by this act, and they took the PlayStation to the market themselves, and in 1994 released their own version of the PlayStation. So this is just a very famous piece of gaming history, one of the most interesting moments in the history of games. It's where one of the top 3 players in the industry got its start, all because Nintendo backed out of a deal. They won that generation. The PlayStation was wildly successful, outsold the N64 probably 3-1 or 4-1, I would say. Yeah, Nintendo kind of created their own demons there.
That's so much money. Like, why would you even want that for that much money?
If your intent is to open up a video game museum, that makes sense. He's collected a lot of other stuff before, from what I know.
I suppose. It's a lot, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a millionaire just from making pets.com and toys.com, so.
What is pets.com?
There was just the .com boom in the early 2000s or late 90s where people would just buy a bunch of domain names and sit on them and then like sell them out.
When you type in pets.com, it just redirects you to PetSmart.
Yeah, because they would have probably purchased pets.com from him for however much money.
Murph, how you doing on K9 Advance X? Do you need any while I'm here?
Yes, thanks.
If he were smart, he would have opened the museum beforehand and then just asked for donations so he didn't have to spend money.
Yeah, because you don't make money off of museums, do you?
You could charge an entrance fee and whatever.
Yeah, but you ain't making that much.
Unless he charges $15,000 a ticket.
From what I know of this guy, he's extremely wealthy and money's not going to be like a problem. Like $360,000, that's just like lunch money to these kinds of dudes.
What kind of lunch you buying, Tim?
All right, guys. So today we are going to discuss Call of Duty Warzone, the free-to-play battle royale, which just released this week. We all played it, and now we are going to get into it and talk about it. Brian, let's hear your first impressions.
I like it. I think it seems, from what I have understood, to be getting kind of a lot of flack for some of the systems in it. But I think it's really fun. It's polished. I think the gameplay in this iteration of Call of Duty, just Modern Warfare, is super satisfying. So I've been having fun with it. I don't really know, just for me personally, if I will ever get totally enraptured by Battle Royale ever again. It seemed to be kind of a lightning in the bottle situation with PUBG and Fortnite and Call of Duty Blackout. But I do think it's really fun. I think it's quality, and I just hope that they maintain it instead of just ditching it for Blackout when Black Ops 5 comes out. But who knows at this point what they're going to do. But I think the smart call, since it's free to play, is just to sit on this and then add new maps. Maybe add a Blackout map if they want to, even though, the engine's obviously different, but just use those maps.
Right.
I don't know, but I think it's solid, and I've enjoyed my time with it thus far. I think it's a solid Call of Duty experience.
Yeah, you would have to think that's the intention with them releasing it free to play when they could have easily just bundled it completely with Modern Warfare. It does run off the Modern Warfare engine, and to play the game, you do seem to download the entire game. Obviously, only the free to play part is unlocked for you. But I believe it's their intention to just keep this running in perpetuity, which I think is a great idea. It's what I wanted them to do with Call of Duty Blackout, because we all kind of knew that once the next game came out, it would just be left behind, and that's kind of what happened.
It's very late for them to do that with this one.
It is late. It would have been ideal if they originally did that to begin with Blackout. I don't know why they didn't do that. So that is interesting. I think probably because this story was canceled for Black Ops 4, so they kind of were low on content and they needed, more content in there. But it would have been ideal, I think, if they had gotten into this game 2 years ago. It's a little late, it seems, to be entering the field, although Call of Duty is obviously a powerhouse and Activision has a whole bunch of money, so I don't see it failing. I actually saw a tweet In 24 hours, the game was downloaded and the game had 6 million players in the first 24 hours, which is pretty great. But yeah, what else do you guys think? Nick, what are your impressions on the game?
So a lot of my comparisons are going to be with Blackout because obviously it's Call of Duty Battle Royale. The first thing that I felt with this, and I know Tim, you mentioned it also when we were playing yesterday, is that it doesn't feel like a Battle Royale.
Yeah, and that's obviously a nebulous term. And even I don't know what that means, but it's more of a feeling I get playing it, and it's really hard to vocalize what that means.
I was trying to think about why that is.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that I came up with is that there is no true inventory management. Like, you auto-heal in Warzone, so you don't have to carry heals, and then you're limited to a max of 2 of 1 lethal grenade and then 2 of 1 tactical grenade. So there isn't a lot of choices to be made, and there's only armor plates. There's no differentiation between them. There's no attachments to pick up for guns. The higher tier guns come with the attachments that are beneficial to them. So when you're running around the map, you don't have to make decisions like, am I going to carry more heals for the team or myself, or am I going to take this extra grenade for a fight?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I hadn't even thought of that. That it's kind of... That's a huge hallmark of the game, is deciding what to loot and what to leave behind, working with your teammates, who's going to carry what. And in this, it's a lot more individualized. Like, everyone carries 5 shields or whatever.
You all get the same exact of everything, basically.
Right, yeah. There's not many decisions to be made, it seems. Whereas even with, like, Blackout and stuff, it's like, okay, who wants to carry the sensor darts? Who wants to carry, some heals for us? Who's got the shields,
And then in terms of flow of gameplay, if you're in a fight... I know it happened a couple times yesterday. You're in a fight and you take a lot of damage. In Blackout, you have to strategize how you're going to get to cover, heal up a little bit, and be able to defend yourself moving forward. In this, there was times yesterday where we were getting shot at, and I parked down behind a car until I auto-healed again up to full health. So there is a lull in the gameplay, in the flow of the battle.
That is interesting. I haven't been in too many battles, like, not enough to, like, definitively say how I feel.
Not many that you won.
Smoked them.
Not many that I won, but it does, like, it feels like the rhythm is a little bit off, where it doesn't quite feel the same way as in, particularly talking about Call of Duty Blackout, where it felt like you were really working on as a team with your teammates. You were calling out shots, calling out locations, working on your approach, how you were gonna get in there, take the high ground, sneak around, going guns blazing. And I don't know if we should mention this game has 150 players instead of the usual 100, and the map is probably, what would you say, at least twice as big as Blackout, I would say.
I think the size in terms of like the players is too big. And then for those of you that don't know, if you die, the first time you die, you go to an area called the Gulag, and you have a 1v1 fight in the Gulag area with someone else, a random person that has died also. And whoever wins respawns.
Yeah. And I love that system, by the way.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Well, when you get into the point when you already have 150 people, and conservatively you're saying if 100 people die, half of those people are coming back into the game. So you're up to 200 lives, and then people can also be purchased back. You're up to over 200 lives that have to be taken.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about the buyback, the buying your people back in with money.
The money, yeah, you have to buy back people with the money, the $4,500. I think it'd be interesting, instead of collecting that on the map, if they just went to the traditional sense where you drop like a token and have to get to an area.
Yeah, I like the token. I don't mind, in theory, the money thing, but maybe make it a little less accessible. Like maybe.
But
I think it should just be one or the other.
Yeah, you can't have that many people coming back into the game, because we got the points. We got the points yesterday when the circle was pretty small and there was like 80 guys left.
And there's people parachuting in still.
Yeah. It feels more COD-like, I also think, in terms of it's more reactionary and less strategy from what I feel so far, where it seems like a little bit like the time to kill is a little bit slower, or a little bit faster, I want to say. And it just feels more like the people with the more skill are going to win. And that makes sense. That's how it should be, obviously.
There's also an aspect of that where if you have had the Modern Warfare game before and have been playing online, and ranking up online, leveling up, you've unlocked attachments and things like that go on certain guns. And in this game, you can buy loadout drops, and they're also randomly dropped throughout the map, the loadout drops. And you go there, and you get to pick a custom loadout that you created beforehand with the attachments that you have available to it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it kind of betrays the whole point of the Battle Royale genre, which to me is all about making do with what you have, like, or finding something better. And it's all about that central, should we take these guys on in a fight to get their loot and get better guns for the end game, or should we hide and have a chance of lasting longer? It's always about that question. So if you can kind of just sneak around the map and, find money on the ground and then buy your favorite gun into the game that you already know exactly how to use, like, I don't know if it feels exactly like the same thing where you're in an isolated island and you have to survive. It's not the same feeling, in my opinion.
In Blackout, you get the care packages, but that's randomized. You don't know what's going to be in that. I mean, once you do know what kind of guns are going to be in there, like you get the 50 cal sniper rifle. You know what attachments are already on there once you get used to the game, but you don't know what you're getting every time you risk it to go get that.
It's not like in Blackout you can call in your gun that you're the best at every single game. But in this game, it seems like that's a possibility. If you want to just sneak around for the first half of the game, collect a bunch of money, and then you can buy your gun, is what it is. Am I correctly portraying that? I think that's how it works.
If you've had the online experience beforehand, you and I didn't buy the game yet, so this is our first hours in the online multiplayer for this game, and we started at level 1, so we didn't have any attachments unlocked to ourselves. But if our friend that has been playing every single night since the game came out, who's a level 120, comes in and he can unlock every attachment on every gun, he has the benefit of that,
right?
Which doesn't exactly seem fair for a battle royale.
Yeah, I like the whole idea of everyone's on the same foot. Obviously, part of all those games is starting to learn every gun and learning every situation and every town so that you do get better and more efficient. But I don't think it should ever come at the cost of calling things in from other, loadouts and stuff. And obviously, this is only the first week, and there's plenty of time for them to balance it as it goes forward. But I don't know if any of my major my gut reactions can be changed with simple tweaks and balances. I just don't know if it's really appealing to me the same way.
I think it'll be fun to play every now and again, but we used to play Blackout all the time, every day.
Yeah, but that was also on the front of the curve though. Fortnite, that, and PUBG were it was a new type of thing, and I think to the point of, is it a battle royale or not? That's so subjective. I think the only criteria for being a battle royale is you die, and when you die, and there's one group left standing. Everything else is just what the formula has had. And you could argue whether or not it's balanced or not, but I don't think that's a knock against the game for trying something new versus being not balanced.
If it does something new, and it the Gulag is a new thing that worked well. The pinging system in Apex was a new thing that worked well. When new things work well, that's good. And there's no rigid definition of what the genre is, but when new things come in and they make it not feel, it is hard to vocalize what it, but they do kind of, I think they don't make it really feel the same way that you feel playing Blackout, or at least the way that I felt playing Blackout. And there is obviously a novelty that's going to keep decreasing as time goes on and more of these games come out. I think that's what it is. But I think if this game came out instead of Blackout, 2 years ago, I would be less excited about it.
If this was the only one that came out, I don't think that would be true. If there was no Fortnite or PUBG, I think you would be thrilled with this. It's just that there's a precedent.
Yeah, I'm just saying. No, I'm comparing it directly to Blackout.
Yeah, but I mean, we were also really, really into Fortnite, and I was really, really into PUBG. I think it's just now this isn't new anymore. None of us play Fortnite anymore, and Fortnite's still being supported, and there's still a big fan base. I think it's just a matter of none of us play Blackout. I think it's just a phase that is not as, at least for me, I'm very confident that's what it is for me, that they're fun, but they're just not, I'm not going to play them every night anymore. I don't have any interest in doing that. There's only so many times you can do that before it gets stale.
There's also two things that are new that I don't really, aren't my personal preference to having a quote unquote battle royale game, is that you start with a pistol. I don't like that. I like having a drop in, and you got to get a gun quick because you're gonna die. And I also don't I don't like the 3-man squads. I'd rather have 4. But
those are both really easy changes.
Yeah, they are. I mean, but first impressions right now, that those are just things that I'm not a fan of.
I think the healing attachments and like that whole set of inventory is much of a big overhaul that it will be interesting to see.
I don't think they'll be able to correct it like that. I think this is the model that they're going to go with, and if you don't like it, then that's it.
Yeah, we can always. I mean, and this is still only the first week, and things can settle in, and maybe playing it more, I'll start to get a feel for it more. These are all just initial reactions.
I'm definitely having more fun with it now than I have had with a Battle Royale since I stopped playing Blackout. So more fun than I've had with Fortnite in over a year. Like, that being said, it's still not to the level where I was like legitimately obsessed with Blackout, and it's I don't even want to do that again.
Right.
It was like so much time spent on one thing. I don't think that'll ever happen again.
As it stands right now, if all my friends were playing Blackout or they were all playing this, and I had to pick which one I wanted to go play, I'd pick this one right now because I want to play it more and get more of a feel for it. But if I was just trying to be objective right now and say which one I think I'd rather play, I'd probably pick Blackout right now. But obviously that can change. I've only been playing this for a day. So
after getting the feel in this game, if we all decided, Blackout was a lot of fun, let's start playing that again, I would 100% be back in on Blackout and never touch this game again.
Yeah, if everyone was in on it again, and obviously that's not going to happen as much. Yeah. And obviously novelty is a good thing because it gets everybody online and everyone gets excited, and so that's all a factor playing into this.
I do like the way the guns feel more in this than in Black Ops, but I always have felt like the Modern Warfare games have more satisfying gunplay, like moment to moment, not necessarily like time to kill, but like the way the guns look and feel and shoot and all that.
I agree,
and I like heftiness to it.
I liked Blackout more than any other battle royale before that, and I think this one is better gunplay, which is a good point to bring up. The guns do feel good; they shoot good. It seems like there's less latency and stuff. Like just when you're in a close-up fight, in Blackout, and you spray at a dude, and it's it doesn't always feel like everything's right on point. Everything seems a little tighter in this, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it feels less. It feels like a more technically polished game than Blackout did.
Yeah, it definitely feels more technically polished. I've seen a lot less messed up textures and weird loading glitches, which is pretty impressive with all the people online right now playing it.
Brian and I experienced a little glitch the first day where you couldn't pick up. You couldn't, the swapping of your primary and secondary weapons wasn't working properly. You couldn't pick up the gun you wanted. But, it happened a couple times, and the second day, we played day 2, and it was corrected. Yeah, it seemed
so
fixed.
Blackout, I remember, guns wouldn't show up on the ground.
Guns wouldn't show up. You'd go into the
crates,
wild. And those wouldn't work. Yeah. There was so many problems. When they fixed one, another one happened.
I'm still very enthusiastic and optimistic about this because it's a free-to-play game, and that means that the team is going to stay with it. They're not going to just feel pressure to go into the next game. It's going to be a thing that's going to be here for hopefully years, and hopefully they can continue growing and evolving it and finding the right fit. So I think that's good. We are guaranteed to have more content in this game than Blackout was ever going to have. That's always why I wanted Blackout to go free-to-play, because we knew the player base would eventually taper off. But a free-to-play, we just have to appreciate this is the first free Call of Duty game on consoles ever. So that's a huge moment. And obviously it's not a mainline Call of Duty game, it's a spin-off, but it is still pretty incredible because there is a huge base of people that wouldn't buy that game that are just going to buy it now or play it now because it's free.
Yeah, but they have to maintain it.
They do have to maintain it, but it's your initial player base right off the bat is way higher. So if you can keep a certain percent of them, you're in way better shape already. So I do think it's probably going to get a lot more support. It's probably too early to say how the battle pass and all that is implemented. I haven't really seen too many cosmetics or anything like that, but I haven't really dived into that either. Obviously that's a thing that usually comes out a little bit later where you start to see how that settles in. But obviously free to play, so who cares, right? They can kind of monetize it however they want as long as it's not any kind of in-game advantage when it's free. Yeah. That's my thought.
I agree.
So yeah, I think overall, guys, what good or bad? What's your
Good.
I'll go good. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think good. I think like
Not the best way to qualify things.
no, good or
No,
bad.
that is
That's
the
all,
best. Completely
that's all,
binary, good or
all
bad.
we need to know.
I think it's very rare that I would call a game bad. Very rare. Most games are like, oh, yeah.
It's free. I'm optimistic. I'll keep an eye on it, and I don't see myself getting super obsessed with it the way I did. But that can also just be a product of its time. Battle royales aren't as novel as they used to be.
Do we want to also mention the other mode that's on there, Plunder?
Good call.
I don't know if you played that at all, Tim.
I didn't play that, but you guys could talk about that.
Brian and I played one game, and the goal
I thought it was fun.
It was fun. So you play the game, and the goal is to just get as much money as you can. You have to get to $1 million first out of everyone on the map. There is no circle, no storm or anything, so you're just going around trying to kill people, get their money. At one point, it was like 15 minutes in. You also respawn. It was like 15 minutes in. Brian and I and our random Phil partner we were in first for like a minute, but 15 minutes in, we weren't even a quarter of the way to the $1 million. So that
we also didn't really know what we were doing, though.
But
we didn't have a strategy.
we were winning though.
running
And
around.
after 15 minutes, only a quarter of the way there. I feel like that time to play needs to be shortened up a little bit for that to be a.
Well, because the map's huge and there's no storm, so it's like everybody's just kind of spread out. Like,
Yeah, so I think something needs to change there to make the pace of play a little faster.
All right. Do you guys have anything else to say about this before we wrap it up? We've been going for about an hour, so we should probably,
I'm all set.
All right.
I'm all right.
So we will probably be playing this more in the coming weeks, and we will be able to fill you all in as time goes on. Anything else going on this week we want to discuss, or are we all set? You guys said you've pretty much only been playing this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No new updates. Okay, yeah, same here. I only played the Dragon Quest games as well, but
What
I
about
talked
Darkest?
about that. Oh, yeah, I did. I played Darkest Dungeon. It's a dungeon-crawling roguelike game on the Vita and PS4. It's fun. Check it out. It's on sale right now. Not much else to say about it. It's been out for a few years now, but it's highly recommended if you like that genre. And I think that's all we have for today, guys. So why don't we call it quits? And if you are listening and you've made it this far, we just want to ask you. Well, first we want to thank you. Thanks for listening.
I want
to us.
I want to apologize.
Yeah, we also would like to apologize. I don't know. Maybe you were trapped under some rubble or something, and like the phone started playing this. I don't know why you kept listening, but if you made it this far, congratulations. And your reward is that you can go follow us on Twitter at
Your reward.
Pseudo Ludo Podcast. Or wait, what's our?
Oh my God, this guy.
Follow us on Twitter at Pseudo Ludo Cast, and feel free to write us in anytime. We'll follow you back. You can DM us any questions you have, and yeah, we'd be super happy if you could give us a rating on whatever podcast service you're listening to. And be sure to tell any friends about our podcast if you think they would also enjoy our content. All right, everybody, we're gonna leave you now, and we'll see you in a week. We hope you get out of that rubble.
Maybe not, so we can get some viewership.
Yeah. I mean,
This
if
is
anything,
just on an endless repeat.
yeah,
The numbers are going to be big on this one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it'd be great for the algorithms, actually. If you're under the rubble, please, by all means, just keep playing it. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you all next week.
Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Yeah, stay safe, guys.
Yeah, wash your hands for 20 minutes.
Coronavirus is no joke, so we hope everyone's staying safe, staying healthy out there.
You have to put on Return of the King every time you wash your hands and watch the entire movie.
The extended edition. Don't forget the extended edition.
of course. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, bye.
All right,
Stay
guys.
safe. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Do we have any more news? Horizon poo poo. Oh, okay.
The last bit of news is that the Nintendo PlayStation
I want to do
device
this one.
is
Are you kidding me?